Jesus, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this time to be able to spend with you in the middle of the day, in the middle of us doing a bunch of things in your name. Jesus, we ask that you speak through us, Lord, and let us be a blessing to others, and get us to submit, get our flesh to submit to the Spirit, to get what you need to be said out, Lord. Father, we understand that it's just a whole bunch of people that don't know you, don't know your capability, you don't know how much you love them, Lord. And we just want to be a vessel for you to be able to let them know that, Lord. We love you. We thank you for everything that you've done. We thank you for everything that you're going to do. In Jesus' name we pray. In your name, Jesus. Amen.
The reason why I wanted to talk about eternal blessings versus worldly blessings, or blessings that we can see. I don't want to say worldly blessings. The reason why is because of comparison. Like, we're in a generation where we're comparing our lives all the time. So if we can feel blessed, if we can know that we're blessed just by being content with what you have, you won't compare your life to somebody else.
This can be a discussion. You know what I mean? Like, you guys, comment. This is open. Like, I don't care who you are, what you think you are, or what you are. It doesn't matter. You can comment, just keep it on the up and up. Because we're really trying to have breakthrough with people and help open their eyes to the fact that Jesus is alive and he is here for you. Period. And a lot of people don't even know that. A lot of people find that hard to believe, and it is hard to believe, because this walk is a walk where you have to, is faith-based, and it's really believing something that you can't see.
The first definition was God's favor and protection. Boom. Like, right there in your face. Then Webster said, a thing conducive to happiness or welfare. Even the Webster's definition, a thing conducive to happiness or welfare, lines up with blessings from God, because you can have nothing and still feel blessed.
Oh yeah,
you can be homeless,
and that's the eternal blessings that we're talking about, because a lot of people that it's just what it is. Reality is, we live in the flesh, and even when we wake up fleshly. It's a blessing. It's an eternal blessing to wake up.
Blessings that you can see: car, house, children, even marriage. Like, a person can have all of those things and seem blessed to the outside world, but you don't know what's going on the inside. They could be going through who knows what. And in most cases, that's the case. Like, nobody really doesn't go through anything. It's just that your relationship with God is, you're so close in your relationship that you know that you have him there to release to when you do go through things, as opposed to the person who's not close in their relationship and they don't know what to do when they go through things. So it really is dependent on that. But the main factor is relationship with God. So you are more blessed if you are in close relationship and fellowship with God. So if you see a person who is doing their thing and they working and they're joyous, but they don't have relationship with God, those blessings will run out eventually, and you're going to seek something more than that.
Like dead end blood.
It's right.
Worldly blessings.
Right.
Okay.
Now those blessings that you get through God, like he sends you those things as well, because everything good comes from God. So if you are being blessed
the grace.
Yeah, it's just the grace of God.
And
That's
grace is
which is amazing.
It's like,
but grace is being able to wake up in the morning.
Is rich.
Right. You just inherit. You don't really do anything. It just belongs to you.
That's the grace.
Right. It's just like, I get this.
Just by default.
Right.
And then the mercy comes in when you deserve something and you don't get it. And you don't get it.
Right.
Like something bad.
Right.
Just to put it in the short. Grace and mercy.
Right. Yeah, I like that. An example of a blessing is correction. Correction is technically a blessing because it shows that God cares. It shows that he's directing your path. Job 5:17 says, "Blessed is the man whom God corrects." Anything that pushes you closer to God is a blessing. Anything that pushes you away from God is not a blessing. So if you got 3 cars and 2 houses and all you do is get up every day and you're driving them cars and you spend all your time pouring into those things that you have,
or not driving them.
yeah, you're just sitting in the house and you laid up because you're good, you got everything you need, then you may seem blessed, but
so technically you are blessed. You tangibly,
right,
blessed. So it puts your mind at ease,
right?
Just your flesh. But people don't know that you're made of flesh and spirit, and both of them need to be working properly. So, like Jesus to tell you, he told Nicodemus, you have to be born again. Flesh births flesh, but spirit births spirit.
Right.
So, if you just feeding your flesh and you just got, you just getting all the grace of God of just this earth and these heavenly realms that we fall under, you just fall victim of a blessing. A lot of people, we're also proud. So like, you get all that stuff and that proudness draws you further away from the Lord.
Right.
So, trying to remember that, you do need to strengthen your spirit too, because Jesus' whole goal, which is God's whole goal is to get the spirit to guide the flesh. So
now, sorry, don't get us wrong. We're not saying that if you're following God, you shouldn't want to have tangible blessings, it's not a bad thing. But when you receive those blessings the correct way through God, when you're ready for them, you won't be bound to that blessing. It won't deter your relationship with God. And that is a lot of times why he doesn't give us the things that we desire right away, because we will put them before him.
Yeah, and then another reason why he don't give it to us, because he's a God of order, but organization in his way, which we can't understand. So we can't try to be organized in the you have to listen and you become organized because you're following his plan. Right. So,
but that comes with making mistakes. I think a lot of times we condemn ourselves because we're not organized enough, we're not on time enough, we're not there enough. But you cannot mask like doing those things and call it relationship with God. You have to have relationship, and through his spirit you will obtain those things. You will have a clearer mind, you will have peace, so you will be able to focus and do the things that you need to do.
Yeah, just think about it like this. If you're a parent and you have a teenager that's ready to drive, or think that he's ready to drive, and you know that he's not ready to drive, you're not going to bless him with a car. You can and you will.
Right,
but you got to be ready. If you gave him a car and he wasn't ready, then you put him in a position where he can crash and burn. In both forms of speaking. So so he doesn't do that with us. He doesn't. We want it so bad. We blessed with the ability to think about exactly what we want, and it's so clear, and we can make a map for how we gonna get there. But it's not the way that God wants you to get there, because he maximizes off of everything.
Right.
Good and bad. It all works in the greater good for his people.
Today.
I'm sorry, but I got it.
Okay. He has to go.
That was cheesy. We're going to take it off. That's my wife. Love you. I'll see you later.
Okay. So, we were having a conversation with 2 of our good friends yesterday, another married couple, and we were talking about being blessed. And he mentioned that anytime God referred to, or the Bible refers to being blessed, it refers to an action. So there's a lot of Psalms that refer to being blessed. One of them is, great blessings belong to those who fear and respect the Lord and live the way he wants. That's Psalms 128:1. You can see Great blessings belong to those who fear and respect the Lord. That's an action. To fear and respect the Lord, you have to have a relationship with him, because you have to understand why you fear him, why you respect him. If you don't have a relationship with somebody, it's hard to respect them, because you don't care to. Another thing, talking about actions, when God blessed something, he did something. So I pulled some examples, and when God blessed the sea creatures in Genesis, this is in Genesis 1:22, so you can go look for it. God blessed the sea creatures and told them to be fruitful and multiply. So he gave them a blessing. He said, be fruitful and multiply. He said that to us too. Be fruitful and multiply. That's why children are a blessing, because it's a blessing to be able to be fruitful and multiply. You could be barren. Back in the day, in biblical times, it was considered a curse to not be able to have children, because having children was a blessing from God, continuing your lineage. Like, it wasn't like it is now where we like, there's too many people in the world, I don't want to have no more kids. Continuing your lineage was a blessing, especially if you had a son. That was a blessing from God. So when he commanded to be fruitful and multiply, he blessed. That was considered a blessing. Also in verse 28 of Genesis, when God gave a similar blessing I was just talking about to Adam and Eve, and added to have dominion over creation. So it was a blessing to rule over creation. When God blessed Abraham, he called him to the promised land, and he said he will make his name great and bless all the families of the earth. And God says in Genesis 22 that the blessing is due to his obedience, to Abraham's obedience to God's command. So that is so key. Like, God literally says in Genesis 22 that the blessing that Abraham is going to receive is because of his obedience to God's commands. So Abraham was a godly man. He followed God's command. So then your next question would be, well, how does God want us to live? Because we can't possibly follow the commands. That's why Jesus came. So it's difficult. We find it difficult, right? We all have struggles. We all are snappy. We all, we go through things. So how does he want you to live? He wants you to live submitting to the Spirit. How do you submit to the Spirit? Stay in relationship with him. So things that you're doing, you have to get to a point where you're fed up with what you're dealing with. So if you are in a relationship and you can't let go of that relationship, you have to go to God. Like, there's certain things that we can talk ourselves out of, and maybe people can minister to us, and we'll have an epiphany and realize that it's all God's wisdom. It's all God downloading on us. But there are some things that you're just going to have to get on your knees and go to God, because he offers deliverance through his Spirit. He offers true breakthrough. So if you want to see those blessings that come, that are eternal, that joy, that peace, that happiness, if you haven't felt those things, then you need to go to God and ask. A relationship is relationship. Like, even children, my oldest daughter Brooklyn has a relationship with me. My son views me differently. He has a relationship with me, and it's not the same relationship. I don't treat them the same in terms of how I deal with them personally and their issues. So it's the same way with God. Like, the way God deals with me is not going to be the same way that he deals with the next person. I looked up the Hebrew word for blessing, and the Hebrew word for blessing is Isher, which means happiness. So anything that brings you happiness, brings you joy, is a blessing. I think a lot of times we can look at blessings, eternal blessings, as unimportant or as curses almost. Like, I know there was a long time that I resented having kids, and I'm just being open and honest. I don't feel that way anymore. God has since delivered me from those feelings, because I truly understand now. But there was a time a few years back where I was frustrated with my kids all the time, and it's still frustrating sometimes. But you start thinking to yourself, well, this is a blessing. Like, this is something from God. This is supposed to be something that brings me joy. Why is it bringing me so much anxiety and worry and depression? And I think it's just the way that we view things. We tend to look at things like, if I don't have things, if I can't fill myself up with things, then I'm not blessed. And at some point, we have to get to a point where we're like, enough is enough, and I can't take it anymore. And I think for women, we get to that point, and then we can easily fill it with something else. Oh, I'm hungry. I don't care. I'm just going to eat this. Oh, I'm, and please, I'm not sitting here talking so that I can condemn anybody or down talk anybody, because Lord knows I go through it. Like, I'm constantly on my knees because I need to be. And when we can recognize that we need God so closely, especially in the beginning, like, if you've been delivered and you've been walking this walk for a long time and you good, more power to you. I'm so happy for you. But for myself, I need God's Holy Spirit. I need Him to cleanse me and to deliver me from certain things. This is one of my favorite scriptures that I wanted to talk about. So it's Proverbs 10:22 says, "A blessing from the Lord will bring you true wealth, wealth without troubles." That's the ERV version. The NLT version says, "The blessing of the Lord makes a person rich, and He adds no sorrow with it." It literally says, wealth without troubles, and He adds no sorrow to it. So there's no negative in the blessings from God. There's no negative in joy. There's no negative in peace. It is just all goodness, all fullness, all glory, all God. So in comparison to the blessing of, getting that new man, or getting that new house, or getting that new car, and you're so excited, and you've been praying, and you've been on a bus, and it is a wonderful thing to know that God is with you and to receive these blessings, because we do need to see it as humans. If God never blessed us in a worldly sense, like, we probably wouldn't believe it at all. So it is wonderful, but those blessings come with sorrow as well. Like, when your car break down, you gotta fix it, and when maybe you get into an accident, or your husband is acting crazy after 2 years, or you guys are fighting, and sorrow comes with those blessings. But the true blessings from God, no sorrow is added to those blessings. Another one is Psalms 32:1 says, "It is a great blessing when people are forgiven for the wrongs they have done, when their sins are erased." So it's a blessing to come before God and be able to, my kids are yelling in the background. It's a blessing to be able to come before God and let out and release and be forgiven for the things that you are condemning yourself about, because God offers us no condemnation. Condemnation is not of God. Guilt and shame is not of God, and all those things lead to destruction. We have to know that when we feel bad about ourselves, when we are condemning ourselves, when we're shameful, when we're guilty, these are not things that God wants us to feel. Anything that you did, you go release it to God, and He offers you forgiveness immediately, as long as you're repentant and you're really sorry for what you've done. So when you have those feelings, you have to recognize where it comes from, and to be able to go to God, to even have that access to be able to go to Him and pour out to Him, is a blessing. Like, I wanted to talk about this stuff because comparison, I like that meme that says comparison is the thief of joy, because all day long we're scrolling, and I take fast from social media often because I'm a person, I'm gonna be honest, like, it was my career when I was living in LA and I was doing makeup. Social media was a huge part of what I did, like, and I didn't even realize that a lot of my insecurity came from social media. So when you're scrolling, you don't even realize that you're comparing your life. You're scrolling, you see your friends and you see random people, and you're like, oh, she's doing something today, oh, she's doing something nice, oh, she's dressed so pretty, I don't dress like that, oh, I don't have clothes like that. And it's subconscious. Like, just playing in your mind. And the longer you're scrolling, the more seeds are being planted. And then you put your phone down, and first of all, 25 minutes that went by, you ain't do nothing. And the second thing is, now you have in your mind all these images of people who are doing all these wonderful things, and you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm just sitting at home scrolling on Instagram. I ain't doing nothing. I ain't got nothing going for myself. I gotta go pick up my kids at 5 o'clock, so it's 4:33 right now. I ain't got no time to get nothing done. I might as well go in the kitchen, make something to eat real quick. And then 2 hours goes by and you've done nothing that you're supposed to do. When you could be spending time with God. And like I said, this is not to condemn anybody. This is not like to make anybody feel bad. I'm just sharing my experiences. I noticed that when I'm on social media, I'm getting less done than what I could be when I'm not on social media. When I just post for Beautiful Soul or for my personal page and I keep it moving, I get so much more done. But when I'm stuck on there and when I'm like, oh well, let me just scroll for a few minutes, nope, let me go turn on some worship music and get in this word and wash some clothes and, you know, get some housework done or whatever it is that I need to do. So I just want us to get to a place where we're content where we are so that we can move forward, because you can't move forward until you realize where you are and you say, okay, God, here's my life. I know I've tried to do it. And then when you give your life, like I noticed when I gave my life back in California, I didn't know what that was. Really, honestly, I didn't really give my life. I gave my career and my LA experience to God. I was like, but that was the biggest part for me. Like that was what I was holding on to the most. Like I was trusting God, but not really. Like trusting God, but doing my own thing. So when it really got to a point where I was like, okay, I'm really screwing this up and I need some help, that's when we came back. But when we came back, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I gave up everything. It's supposed to be like all prairies and sunflowers, and it was not. There were tests and trials back to back were thrown at us. My pride was stripped away. Like so many things started happening, and thank God for my husband who stayed in prayer. And you know, even myself, like I chased after God even though it was hard, even though sometimes it looked like I was giving up. I chased after God. And even still to this day, when I'm hit with tests, I understand what I need to do, but it's still difficult. And I think that's the place we need to come to. That's why Exposed is happening also, is that it's not easy. And when we have each other, and when we have you know, covering and prayer and all of those things work together, like then we can be a body that's fitly joined together. But if we're all just telling each other what we're supposed to be doing and making each other feel bad, then it's difficult to get to a place where you're comfortable enough to say, okay, I'm not good enough, but God is. We won't get there if we're constantly downing ourselves, because we'll just be like, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, not even God can fix me. And that is a horrible place to be in. So I just want to offer some encouragement. Don't compare your lives. If you have to, like, you have to get fed up and say, you know what, I'm done on social media for a week. Just take a week off. I promise you, a week off is not going to ruin your career if you use it for work. It's not going to, you know, the things that you think is going to happen is probably not going to happen. Like, we go so far in our minds that we shut ourselves down before we even get an opportunity to try. So I encourage you to spend some time with God and then do something that He's telling you to do. Even if it's something small. If God is telling you, you know what, wake up a half an hour earlier in the morning to spend some time with Him. That's it. Like 30 minutes earlier, set your clock and just commit. And even if you do it for 3 days and on the 4th day you screw up and you wake up late, on that 5th day, be like, you know what, I'm going to try again. Or even if on that 3rd day, say, you know what, I'm going to switch it to afternoons because maybe that's easy, that's, you know, more conducive to my schedule, or whatever the case may be. But just do something specifically for God. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing. Don't worry about how hard somebody else is running. Do what you can. Start where you can. Start with the little things. You will see the you know, the progress. It's natural. It grows slowly. It's not like boom, I'm there. Never. You never get there. It is a constant growing process. You think about anything natural grows slowly. You never see it sprout up. Like sometimes we look at it and we're like, oh, it looks like it just was overnight, it just grew. And those growth spurts happen, and even in your walk with Christ they happen. But everything that God does is natural. So his timing is not our timing. We want everything like boom, 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 let me get it done, bam, it's done. He don't work like that. His ways are not our ways. So that's it. I want you guys to stay encouraged. Please get your questions in. Ask questions. Be there December 16th at PB Temple for the Exposed Beauty event. Exposed Beauty event. Dr. Tarina Price Brooks, my good friend, is going to be there. She's going to be talking to us and offering her, I say and a lot, and it is so irritating. I'm really going to pray on that and tell the Lord to release me from those filler words and get my mind really going. Thank you guys for watching. And whatever videos, like whatever questions, we're getting a lot of questions and comments, especially on our Unequally Yoked video. If you have any questions, or if you want us to discuss something maybe that we've been through, or whatever the case may be, just let us know in the comments below, or email us, or whatever. And yeah, we will see you next time.